Metrorunner is a competitive game with a cyberpunk theme. You are going to run around the city on a board that is structured like a giant rondel. You will perform actions, and those actions will allow you to complete jobs, to hack into the system, and at the end, hopefully, to score enough points to win the game. So, here we go. Here's the board. As I said, it is basically a giant rondel. During the game, during your turn, you will advance your marker by 1 or 2 spaces for free. You can also choose to spend resources to go further, including spending credits. No, that's not the credit. This is the credit. Spending credits to end up wherever you want, including where you are. Usually you must move at least 1 or 2 spaces. You spend a credit, you can go anywhere, including basically staying where you are. Once you land on a space on the rondel, you perform the action of the space where you ended. And this is the simple general idea. If there is somebody in the way, you simply skip them. But they're probably not gonna sit on an action just to block you, because there's too much going on for that to really be a valid strategy. What are you doing with these actions? Generally speaking, you're collecting cards that represent jobs. There's an offer of 4 available, and these jobs will require certain resources, certain combinations of resources represented by cubes to complete them. Once you complete them, you receive the advantages indicated there, collecting credits, collecting cubes, advancing on 1 or 2 score tracks, 1 for buildings and 1 for hooded figures. They have different technical terms, but I don't remember them. You may collect tokens, and this is interesting. Once you complete a job by discarding those cubes, you discard the cubes, you complete the job, you collect the resources here, and then you get possibly, first, always a number of victory points that you will collect at the end of the game, but you also get possibly a permanent advantage. Each player has a personal board that looks like this one with 3 slots, and when you complete a job, you must place it in 1 of the 3 slots, your choice. And once it's in there, you cannot move again. So suppose later I complete another job, I can put it in another slot, or I can combine it with that one there. Each slot can have up to 3 cards, and 9 is the maximum number of jobs allowed to have completed. Matter of fact, si somebody completes 9 jobs, that is one of the things that may trigger the end of the game. Why the slots are important? Because at the beginning of the game, we set out these 4 cards, and we also place these tokens on them randomly, so the combination changes every time. And at the end of the game, you will score points if your slots are showing the combinations here. Hey, for example, in the slot that I showed you, I have a yellow and a purple. If at the end of the game my slot also has a light blue there, then I'm scoring 5 points for completing that set. So there is that element there. Once you know these things, really you know most of how the game works, because the actions will allow you to do things such as collect cubes of a specific color. Say here you collect 2 yellow cubes. Collect jobs, meaning those cards that then you need to complete by spending cubes. Collect a variable number of cubes of any kind. What determines what is variable? As I said, there are 2 tracks on the game, the buildings and the hooded figure, right here. And the game effects and rewards will allow you to advance your markers on these tracks. When you pass certain thresholds, the action of variable number of cubes becomes more powerful. If I pass or reach the threshold, now that action gives me 2 cubes of any color. If I keep advancing, the same action gives me 3 cubes of any color. As for this one, advancing here, they give me victory points. But advancing on this track also unlocks a different kind of advantage. And I guess we can talk about that one now, because really most of the actions here are collect cubes or collect cards. And then there is the action of interacting here, of hacking the system, which is the action that you activate if you land on the symbol with the skull. So you have this like mini game here sitting in the middle of the table. Incidentally, the standard version will use cardboard tiles. Here you see a nice metal upgrade that the publisher was kind enough to give me at Gen Con last August. You place them randomly at the beginning of the game. You also shuffle these cards here and you form two stacks that are face up, so the two cards are always visible. When you land on the space that I showed you, you activate this action. As part of the action, if you don't like what you see there, you can just take either of the two visible cards and put it at the bottom. Then, what you're trying to do, you're basically playing a game of, like, the most famous is the 15 game. Here we had the mini version with 9, in which you're trying to manipulate the board here to match one of the two visible cards. You must always, to be successful, connect the green dots of the card that you selected. Then you may also gain this advantage if, on top of connecting the green dots, you also connect the blue exit, and you may also collect this one if you also connect the pink exit. But these ones you do only if you are able to unlock that ability on your board. See, your board will start like this, and then you may be able to flip these. There you go. Then, if this is what my personal board looks like, and if I'm able to connect these 4 exits here, then I collect all of the good stuff. These rewards are for connecting the green dots. These other ones, again, are variable, and they need to be unlocked, and they can be unlocked by advancing on this track here. Back there, when you select the hacking action, you get 2 quote-unquote manipulations, 2 moves, so to speak, that you can perform on that board. A manipulation would be to turn a piece by 90 degrees. Another one is to swap the position of 2 of them without changing the orientation. Another one is to push a row or a column by 1 tick, and then to place the one that fell off to the opposite side of the row or column, whichever it is. Also, each player has a card showing a unique character and also showing a unique move that the character can perform while manipulating the motherboard there. And that's just a unique move that you can do. You can perform 2 of these moves / manipulations for free. You can get more by spending cubes, and also you can get more by discarding a job card from your personal supply into the discard pile. And that's a general idea. You can usually pay for costs by spending extra cubes and or by spending a card. But that's most of it, really. Oh yes, to complete a job, as you can see, the city is divided into districts. We got yellow, red, purple, black, and light blue into districts. To complete a job of a certain color, usually you need to be in that district. So light blue, I need to be here. But there are also district actions. So when I land on a space, yes, I can complete the action of the spot where I am, or I can choose to complete the action of the district that I'm in. And that's, for example, by selecting the district action is how I can complete a job, because completing a job, say blue in blue, that would be a district action. As a district action, instead of doing that, I could collect a cube with a corresponding color. There will also be game effects They will place cubes in the spaces of the districts, and when you take a district action, either of them, after you take it, you complete a job, you collect a cube of the corresponding color. You also grab all the cubes that are there. This is the general idea. You play until one of several things happens. For example, somebody completes 9 jobs, or the deck of job cards is depleted, the deck, not the offer, or somebody passes this threshold here with one of their markers. Any of these happens, you complete the round, then everybody takes another round, and then you score points. And to score points, you total the value of the jobs that you completed. It's printed there in the bottom right corner of the jobs. You check those cards with multiple tokens that I showed you earlier, scoring the corresponding amount of points. You get the points for buildings and hooded persons. You get majority, the person who completed the most jobs in their own color, yellow, light blue, or black, and so on and so forth, scores 5 points. If there's a tie, all score 2 points. Any 5 resources, tokens, and cubes that you still have at the end of the game are worth 1 point. Total everything, and you see who the winner is. I didn't mention one thing. I show you the credits. The credits are used to get extra actions and benefits. I guess I mentioned the car service briefly, but these are the things that you can do by spending credits. Again, they're worth a tiny amount of points at the end of the game. This is how you play Metrorunner, the competitive version at least, and there's also a solitaire version in which you play as usual, and then you simply flip a card and you see what the AI does, and the AI will simulate the actions the other players would have on your own gameplay, such as manipulating the board or discarding cards. The AI advances on the track, and so there is a countdown, constant countdown that the AI is causing. It's a very simple, very intuitive AI. I know it looks cryptic to you, but once you know the game, it makes sense. I like this game overall. I like it in particular as a solitaire. I like it in general, although I haven't enjoyed every game that I played of it. Possibly the mistake was that the first time we played it, we played with 5 players. Although the box says you can do it, the components allow you to do it, so you expect, well, I had the right to expect the game to go well that way. With 5, especially if it's the first time that you played, it's not gonna be very exciting. It felt too long, too repetitive. Some players would take longer, because some players would have longer turns as you complete a job and you collect a reward, and maybe then you spend the tokens to get an extra action. And sometimes my turn would be, and I collect 2 cubes, and then the next player takes another longer turn, and it takes a while before he goes back to me, and there's absolutely nothing to do during the other player's turns. Now, at the beginning I thought, well, there is something. Maybe that's why the mini game in the middle of the board has been placed there. Is there so that I have something to do, to think about when other players are taking their turn. But of course, it doesn't necessarily work that way, because the player right before me or 2 players before me may start messing it up, and that means that they change the configuration, they change the cards that are available. I myself may think, well, I'm in a position on the rondel where it could be good for me, although it doesn't look like it's great right now, but with the idea of cycling a card that I need to complete, I may be able to do it. So there's no point for me to plan in advance. When I establish it's not the right time for me to do it, but it may be when I see the next card, that's when I start solving the puzzle. So the intention was to reduce downtime, or the perception of downtime. It doesn't work that way. So with 5 players, it wasn't super exciting. No, it wasn't very exciting at all. But this seems like a fun game. Other players seem to be enjoying it a lot more than I did, so maybe I am more sensitive to downtime than most. Maybe because I play many games solo, and so there isn't any downtime. It's just me, myself, and this guy playing together. So then I played it solo, and it works well that way. And again, it really confirms that this game is mainly a multiplayer solo. People are going on a parallel race. I don't see any time, the economy being so tight, where you should make a decision just to take away an opportunity from somebody, just to take away a resource. It doesn't work that way. You take away a card of a certain color, they'll get another card of that color. Also, I'm trying to maximize my little engine. I don't have time to check at everybody else's boards and see what they're trying to achieve. There are points coming from all directions. I should try to score 5 rather than prevent you from scoring 2. And again, it takes me too many steps to be able to collect the job, collect the cubes, go to the right district, complete the job, figure out the best slot to place it in, best ways to use the rewards. It's a multiplayer solo, which is perfectly fine, but again, if I am to play multiplayer again, it will be with 2-3 players tops. But solo, as I said, it works pretty well. The AI is very intuitive. You take your turn as normal, you flip the card and you adjust some resources, things like that. There are 2 tokens that you move around to indicate where the agency of the AI is going to take place mainly, but it's super simple, super quick. And it worked that way. So I definitely enjoyed it. I see what the game can be that way. Then I had the fun stuff. Then, yes, taking all my sweet time, all the time that I wanted to hack the system and solve the mini puzzle with the 9 tiles. That was fun, maximizing my engine. That was fun. I didn't feel that playing it solo I lost anything that I had from multiplayer, and I felt that I gained a lot. So, I love action selection games, worker placement games, and rondel games. Very often, however, the rondel, at least historically, as a mechanic, it has been associated with high levels of complexity. So to me, that's a nice change of pace here to see a rondel that makes sense, it is intuitive, it plays well, and definitely is a low complexity level of design, but it's still fun to sequence your actions and to complete your jobs, collect your resources, and things like that. And the AI advancing on those tracks creates a nice countdown clock there. So you have a very nice looking production wise. This is a very pleasant game with a nice simple design revolving around the rondel mechanic, with a gameplay which is in essence solo. You can play multiplayer solo, but again, I would not recommend it for high counts of players. But definitely if you enjoy solo Eurogaming, this is a solid option. I've enjoyed this as a solo game quite a bit.